Hey guys, so in this DIY I'm going to show you how I make my Perler Pacman. I am just showing you how to make them in this DIY, and in the next two DIYs I'm going to show you two awesome things you can do with those Pacman. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and let's go ahead and go straight to the DIY. For this DIY you'll need perler beads, a square and a round pegboard, a pair of tweezers which are optional, a piece of parchment paper, and of course an iron to melt down your perler beads. So we're going to go ahead and start clearing our workspace, and we're going to start speeding this up to start making our perler creations. So the first thing you're going to need is a yellow so that you can make your Perler Pacman. Now I'm using my circular little pegboard to make my Perler Pacman because obviously he's a circle with his mouth opening up to eat. So we're going to go ahead and do our outline of our Perler Pacman before we start filling it in. And we're just going to take that yellow and we're just going to fill in Mr. Pacman there. Now I did realize towards the end of making my creation that I did mess up a little bit on his mouth. So I did go back and I did fix that for you. So you should be able to, in the final product, if you pause the video at the end, you should be able to just copy my creation and take a look at how I fixed his mouth. So now that his mouth is all fixed and he's the way I want him, I'm just going to take that piece of parchment paper, put it on top, and I am going to use a sweeping motion in order to melt down those perler beads. So once that side's done, I'm just going to flip it over and do the other side. Same way, sweeping motion as well as rotating it to get a nice even melting down of those perler beads. So while we're waiting for that to melt down, I'm just going to go ahead and take my white perler beads and I'm going to make a little circle of those to represent those little white balls that he eats through the little game if you've ever played it. Now when you're melting this down, you do need to be very careful because it is a lot smaller and you don't want to apply too much pressure or you're going to damage your little perler creation. And then we're just going to do both sides the same way, and with my sweeping and rotating method it does make it a little easier. So I'm going to go ahead and I've decided I'm going to make one ghost Pacman, well, one of the ghosts where they go into their little blue phases. And I did look up a couple of these designs and put my own little tweak on them as well, just to kind of make it my own in the end. So you can always look them up yourself, or you can go through and use the same design that I had. It's completely up to you however you want to do it, because as always, that is the fun part about making your perler creations, is that it's all about you and your individuality of how you want it. So you can see where I'm leaving the openings for his little mouth lines and for his eyeballs. And then I'm just putting my little blues all the way down so that he starts to look like his little ghostly self. So once I have his outline and all of his blue done, I'm going to go back in and take those white perlers and I'm going to fill in his eyeballs and I'm going to fill in his slanted mouth. And then once that's done, I'm going to go ahead, take that parchment paper, and I'm going to iron those down. Now you want to make sure that you turn your iron on before you start doing these perler creations, or once you have them all done, you're going to have to wait a while for the iron to heat up. At least if you turn it on before you start, it'll be nice and hot by the time you start you're ready to start melting it down. So using the same method as always, when I melt this down, I do both sides and I make sure I do that whole sweeping motion and I rotate them. So once I have that the way I like it, I'm just going to set that aside and I'm going to make a normal ghost. Now I'm only going to show you how I do one so that you don't have to sit there and watch me make every single color. But the color that I'm going to show you how to make is going to be red. You also have a baby blue, orange, and kind of like a baby pink ghosts in the game. So you want to make sure that if you're going to use all of these ghosts for the next couple of videos that I'm going to be making on what I did with mine, that you want to make one of each color. So I, as well as the other ghost, I did find this one online, and I just kind of adapted it to the size that I needed for my creations. So you can either use the size that I made, or you can make them smaller, bigger, however you want to make it. So now that my red outline's done, I'm going to take my white and black perler beads, and I'm just going to fill in those eyes, and you want the black to be in the same corner for his little pupils. And I did make the pupils on all of my other little ghosts different because I wanted them to look kind of interesting and funky. So, as usual, I'm going to go ahead and melt those down with my sweeping and rotating method to get a nice even melting. Then I'm going to flip them over and do the exact same thing to the other side. So once they're all nice and cooled down, you can go ahead and pull all of them off. And here are the other ones that I made. Now I did realize after making the pink one that I did make the orange and baby blue one slightly bigger. It's up to you which size you want to use. I'm going to go ahead and use them even though they're all different sizes. I'm just going to keep them that way and use them that way because it gives it a little bit of a interesting factor to them, because if it's all perfect, then you're not going to know that they were all handmade. So here's your up close picture of how they look. I hope you guys enjoyed that DIY. As I said before, I will be putting 2 more videos showing what I did with those Perler Pacman. So once again, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see the awesome DIYs I do with them. Make sure to like me on Facebook so you can check out pictures of future DIYs that I'll be doing. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram because I'm always posting some awesome pictures of DIYs that I'm working on and crafting supplies that I buy during the week. Also, make sure to check out my Etsy shop because you never know what's going to end up on there. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.